Hey guys, how's it going?
Good.
So, I learned a couple of things today. One is, it doesn't really matter what I do, so I'm going to tell you who I am. I'm Irving, I'm a 28-year-old Mexican man. That's about it. I also learned, thanks to Mr. Kramer, that Kevin isn't 30 like he keeps telling me he is. So, it's interesting. I've enjoyed every speaker. Everybody has a different perspective. And what I try to add to it is, how do we go from where we are to become something better? Because at the end of the day, that's everything that we're doing. You know, we always look forward to getting better, whatever it is, whether it's as a better leader, a better professional, a better parent, whatever it is, we're looking to get better. And it just so happens to, like when Kevin asked me to do a PowerPoint, I'm rereading Good to Great. Have you guys ever read that book? I read a lot, unfortunately, but I really enjoy that book. And actually, I gotta thank Mr. Aaron Hollenberg, who isn't here today, and he's a big part of PowerMentor, even though nobody ever sees it. But because I've learned so much from him, I've learned from Kevin. I've always, looked up to Kevin, and some of the students know how much I talk about Kevin because I truly do look up to Kevin as a mentor, as a friend, as someone who inspired me to be better than I was. So when I was reading Good to Great, at the end of the day, it was, how do you go from being a good company to being a great company? But I thought to myself, why can't we apply this to ourselves? And so that's what I thought, and if you guys have ever read that book, I think it definitely touches on some things that we can all use. So, like I said, if you think about your everyday life, if we all go just in a way that we're satisfied where we are, then we lose the purpose. We lose the purpose to become better, to get better. So I thought to myself, you know what? Let's do something. Let's get better. Let's be a better leader. And you've seen the principles of PowerMentor. It's similar things. If you read the book, it's similar stuff. It's similar leadership qualities. Within that book, I saw this quote: leaders channel their ego needs away from themselves and into a larger goal of building a great team or organization. It's not that leaders have no ego or self-interest. Indeed, they are incredibly ambitious, but their ambition is first and foremost for the institution, not for themselves. When I read this, sure, I thought about great companies, but I thought about Kevin, if you think about it, because he does all this, and I kid you not, sometimes I'm like, what are you doing now? And he never really thinks about himself. And if you look at this, it's not that he's not ambitious, he's probably one of the most ambitious persons I've ever met, but he doesn't channel it to himself. And because he does that, he's able to help. You've heard so many stories, current guys, Daniel, Jose even, there's so much that he's able to help. And even I think about it where it says, it's not that the leaders have no ego or self-interest. I think about, some of you guys know where I work. I work at a law firm. I'm an attorney. And my boss one day, he pulls me into his office and he tells me, I think you're really good, but I think you lack the ambition to be great. And that hurt me. It hurt me inside because I was like, you really don't know anything about me. And someone earlier mentioned, it's like, don't kind of judge a person who by things you don't know about them. And so ever since then, I've kind of made it a challenge to, you know what? You don't actually know everything about me. And I actually started telling him, all right, because he asked me, he's like, what do you do? What exactly do you do? And I'm like, well, I don't feel the need I need to tell you these things, but okay. So I wake up at 4 in the morning every day. I read a book right before I go to work. I'm writing a book right now, and I'm doing so much more. I try to help as much as possible, other people that are in need. And not only that, I think I'm always the first one in the office. He doesn't know, obviously, he's the boss. He gets there, whenever he wants. I'm also the last person in the office. I'm also the only person on weekends in the office. And now he's kind of turned around to being, okay, now I see that not everybody is the same way. Not everybody is a leader the same way. Not everybody's going to be the same way. It doesn't matter how different a personality you have. You can still be great. Even if you don't show, you don't show everything you do. It's okay. And that's what it brought me back to the school. It brought me back to Kevin. It brought me back to everything I've learned since. I don't even call it. He's my mentor, but he's my friend more than anything. Something within that book that I think PowerMentor embodies. I think I look to embody it every day is, and I know, for example, Jose. He's quiet over there, but he's a big part of PowerMentor, guys, and he embodies this more than anybody I know. Humility, will, and faith. And I put a couple names up there. Abraham Lincoln and Warren Buffett. You guys know who Abraham Lincoln is, right? Do you guys know who Warren Buffett is?
Yes.
Okay, so Abraham Lincoln, if you think about it, Abraham Lincoln is probably known as the greatest president in the United States. Why is that? That's because if you think about politics in the United States, we have the right, the left, and we can spend hours and hours talking about politics. But there's one president who both sides are kind of okay with. Who is that? It's Abraham Lincoln. Why is that? Was he always, as loud as some of the presidents that we've had? No. Was he always, kind of fierce, like a fierce ruler? No. I think he embodied this. He was a humble man. He was, he had the will to keep going. When he came into presidency, he saw kind of like the Civil War. It was an impending Civil War. And instead of kind of diminishing, he grew and overcame everything. He had the faith to believe in himself. He had the faith to surround himself with the right people. And Warren Buffett, I don't know if you guys know, I think now he's like the second richest man in the world. But I find him really interesting because he still lives in the same home that he purchased, I think it was like 36 years ago. And he bought it for $36,000. I mean, I wish I could buy a house for that amount of money, but it embodies, again, humility and will and faith. He has, I forget the last number, it's like $68 billion, but he still lives in the same house he originally purchased. That doesn't strike you as a man who isn't humble. It doesn't strike you as a man, if you have $68 billion, I can tell you, you have will, you have determination to overcome things, to be even more. And at the end of the day, he has faith that everything's going to come together. And for those of you who guys don't know, he's promised to give all his money away once he passes away. So that last point I make, never mistake a personal modesty, a shy nature as a sign of weakness. I could tell you, just because someone is shy, someone's not as, seems as powerful, doesn't mean that person isn't. This person probably has most abilities out there, yet they choose to portray it a different way. They look to help others in a different manner than what is usually accustomed to. So within that thought of how do we go from good to great, I thought about what is keeping us from that? It's limitations, if you think about it. We compare ourselves to others. For some reason, we have this idea that if we see someone and we're not up to their level, we're not as good. That's not how it works. That's not how those people got there. They never compare themselves to others. We put others down. That's the same idea. If you think about it, if you don't believe if you don't believe in yourself and you're thinking about other people, you try to put others down so you can feel better about yourself. We doubt our own abilities. I can pretty much talk for a long time about this, because a lot of times when we think about something that we're doing or something that we want to do, what is the immediate thought we think about? Why can't we do that? Instead of focusing on, why can't I do that? And once you change that perspective, like, I can tell you, the world opens up to you. It's different. It's just a change of mindset, more than anything. And then I know this is an essential part of PowerMentor. You find your purpose. We forget our purpose, whether it's to help someone else, whether it's to, help a family, whether it's for ourselves. You always got to have that purpose in mind. If you have that purpose in mind, nothing's gonna affect that. For example, no money in the world is gonna change the way you are. No person in the world, no negativity around you is gonna change the way you are. If you have that purpose in mind, and I know Kevin does have a purpose in mind, I tell him all the time, it's one of the most courageous things I've ever seen for him to be sharp and just do something else. And I can tell you, it was a matter of, I think, days when he decided to do that. And that I found amazing. For someone to have that courage, but at the end of the day, what did he have? He had his own purpose in mind. He had what he wanted out of life. And then one more thing is lack of discipline. Disciplined thought plus disciplined action equals disciplined people. I think this is something that we all need improvement in. If I tell people all the time, I wake up at 4 in the morning, they're like, why? Or how? I'm like, it just takes one day. One day at a time. If you think about me waking up at 4 a.m. every single day of my life, you're like, that's exhausting. But if you think about it, me waking up at 4 a.m. every one day at a time, it's not that bad. And I actually enjoy it. And lastly, you are who you surround yourself with. Just remember that. If you want to be someone, look who you are surrounding yourself with. Look at what team you have around you. Because just like you've seen out here, everybody's pulling for you. Everybody's trying to help you. Everybody's trying to make you better. And I know, for example, I met Kevin when I was in law school. But if some of you guys know, I wasn't the most disciplined student. I kind of got to law school and I got through law school. And I was lucky, let's just put it that way. Once I met Kevin, I saw everything this friend of mine was doing, everything he does, everything he continues to do, and I started thinking about why can't I do that? Why can't I do more? What in myself, why have I set these limitations for myself? And once I started surrounding myself with Kevin, with people like Kevin, I started to do more. And now I'm starting to realize, whoa, I can do more. Whoa, I can do that. I can do that more. And I can do that better. I can become better. So just keep that in mind, guys. As for example, Daniel just started college. As you grow into whatever you want to be, I know he wants to become an attorney, and that's awesome as well. Just keep in mind that your team makes you who you are. The stronger your team is, the stronger you are. Thank you, guys.